What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Cjthecheesedj here, and we are back with another ARC video. And today we're going to take a look at the top 3 torpor inducing dinos. So these dinos are land-based dinos. We're not going to include the sea-based dinos such as the Tusoteuthis and the Electrophus. I think that's how you say its name. We're not going to include those ones in this video. We'll be saving those for a later date when, or if they decide to release more sea creatures, which I highly doubt they will, but we're going to wait anyway. So what this video will be exploring is which of these 3 dinos behind us deal the most damage. So we will be doing these guys in an order starting from weakest to strongest. So the third will be the weakest and the first will be the strongest. I've done quite a bit of research into it all, and these 3 are your go-to dinosaurs for the most amount of torpor damage. So granted, there are a lot more land-based dinos such as the Uranio, the Equus, you know, the Arthropleura, but these 3 guys in front of me do the most amount of torpor damage out of any of those. That's why these guys are the base kind of 3 that we're going with. So we did a few tests of our own, and pretty much the deal with torpor inducing attacks, guys, is that you have 20-second intervals with each dino. So you can strike twice, and then you'll have to wait for 20 seconds before you can actually inflict more torpor damage. So you can see here we've got this unclaimed Thylacoleo here, so we're actually able to do torpor damage to this guy. So a single strike from this level 1 Scorpion at a base damage of 125.8 deals 56 torpor damage. So you can actually calculate this yourself depending on whether you've got a Scorpion or whatnot. All you have to do is times their melee damage by 0.45. So for example, to get the amount of 56 torpor damage, it's 56 point something, I can't remember the exact decimal points, but to get the amount, all you do is times 125.8 and you times that by 0.45, and that gives you the amount of torpor that the Scorpion does per strike. So like I said, it did 56, so we're going to strike the Thylacoleo twice. Now, like I said, you've got 20-second intervals, so if you look at the Thylacoleo's torpor now, it'll go up to about, I think it's 132 it should hit if my mathematics serves correctly. So like I said, 20-second intervals, and in between the 20 seconds you can't actually strike it, you'll just do plain damage, you won't do any extra damage. Yeah, you saw there, it just hit 113.2. So far the Scorpion is actually 3rd on this list. He is in my opinion, the worst. I mean, this is based on his stats, so his actual attack of his Stinger does a base damage of 15. Obviously, you've got that multiplied by his melee damage, which gives you the amount of 18, which you also saw on the Thylacoleo. So the Scorpion is number 3 on this list. So number 2 on this list is the Beezelbuffo. So the Beezelbuffo's got 2, obviously, attacks. He's got his tongue strike and he's got his little swings to the side to side. So this one does a base damage of 12, while this one does a base damage of 20. Now, as you can already guess, it is a higher base damage than the Pulmioscorpius, which only had a base damage of 15 with his 1 primary attack. So therefore, the Beezelbuffo obviously does more torpor damage since he has the higher base damage. So you can see here he does 22. Now, he's got the same deal as the Pulmioscorpius, whereas he's able to attack twice and then give it 20 seconds, and then he can attack again when torpor will start taking effect. So in between that 20 seconds, like I said earlier, you can't attack, otherwise you'll just do damage, you won't actually do torpor damage. So the Scorpion only got the torpor up to 113 in 2 hits, whereas you just saw the Beezelbuffo got it up to 136. So therefore the Beezelbuffo is obviously deals more torpor damage than the Scorpion does. Now, you'd think, considering that he has a higher base damage than the Pachyrhino, that he would be number 1. However, the Pachyrhino is rather unique in its torpor dealing attacks. So with the Pachyrhino, it actually deals torpor damage each hit that it attacks. So every headbutt that it does, it actually deals torpor damage, which is pretty astounding. Granted, that torpor damage is only 10, or obviously equivalent to the base damage that the Pachyrhino deals. So for example, I think this Pachyrhino that we have summoned in at level 1 only does 12 damage. So with every strike it does 12 torpor damage. Now you'll see here on the Thylacoleo, you can see there 12 damage. Now unfortunately we won't be quick enough to get off and show you. You did see there it was at about 14 when we got off and accessed the Thylacoleo's inventory. So that's why the Pachy is obviously number 1, because he's got the ability to deal instant torpor damage to victims. Now as well as that, he also does have a secondary attack where he charges his victims. Now this does 3.5 times the amount of damage that the Pachyrhino does. So for example, it does 12 damage. His little headbutt thing that you saw there, that does 12 damage. So the charge attack does 3.5 times that in Torpor. Now it doesn't actually do damage from what I've been able to test. You can see that we just did it. And like I said, I haven't actually been able to see it do any damage, as you know, I've got the damage numbers to pop up. And like I said, it doesn't seem to do any damage. So if you want to actually calculate how much damage your Pachyrhino's charged headbutt will do, all you've got to do is times the percentage. So for example, we have 125.8 melee damage. All you've got to do is times that by the base damage of the charged attack, which is 17. If you guys can't find these values or numbers anywhere, just hit up the Wiki, they'll have it all there for you. So like I said, he does a base damage of 17 with his charged attack, and then you multiply that by the Torpor multiplier, which for the Pachyrhino is 3.5, and then you multiply it by the amount of melee damage, which is 125.8. Now this goes for the same for the Beezelbuffo as well. So you obviously do his base damage, so his base damage is 20. You times it by the Torpor multiplier, which is times 3, and then you times it by his melee damage, and that will give you the amount. Same goes for the Scorpion, however we calculated it for the Scorpion for you guys. So like I said, the Pachy is number 1. Now you can see that the Thylacoleo has no Torpor, so what we're going to do is we're going to charge him with our Pachy, and we're going to be as quick as we can to actually get a look at his torpidity. So we've just done the calculations for our Pachyrhino with the melee damage of 125.8, and like I said earlier, all you've got to do is 17 times 3.5 times the melee damage of your Pachyrhino. Now we should get approximately 74.8 Torpor damage to the Thylacoleo. Now I'm going to try and do my best to showcase that to you guys, and let's see what we got. So it was 60, so I'm going to say the Thylacoleo's Torpor drops at a rate of about 5. You can see they're dropping at roughly 4. So there was about 2 seconds there, and I'm going to say it managed to get to 74. However, we weren't quick enough to obviously show you guys his Torpor hitting that high. So the Pachyrhino is obviously number 1. Now, if we get off our Thylacoleo, our test dummy, and we unclean the Thylacoleo, you'll see that we can actually continue hitting him with the Pachy's primary attack and continue doing Torpor damage. Now, apologies for this, guys. I am doing my best I can. It'd be much easier if I was able to do this on the computer, but unfortunately I'm unable to. So let's hop off him and we'll take a look at his Torpor. And you can see that every hit has risen his Torpor. He's at 113 Torpor, which I think we roughly hit him about 9 or 10 times. I'm probably 11 times for his Torpor to get that high. So the Pachy is the number 1 Torpor inducing dino. Now, whether you should use these guys or not, definitely not. I don't think it's worth using these guys to try and knock out other dinos unless you want low-level tames, because any damage that they take after being knocked out obviously lowers the dino's taming effectiveness, and as well as that, it's just much easier to use crossbow bolts and tranq darts to knock dinos out. So, you know, these guys aren't really that great to use to knock dinos out unless, you know, they're low levels and you need to knock them out quickly without using too many resources. Alrighty guys, well, let me know what you thought of this video down below. There was a lot of research that went into this. I'd appreciate it if you guys could leave some feedback for me. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.